Welcome to Fearless Females, where ambition meets resilience. Meet your guide, Lori Jones, president of Fidelis Wealth Advisors. Join her and remarkable women executives as they uncover the triumphs and transformative moments shaping extraordinary careers. Ready to be fearless? Let the journey begin.
Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining us again on another episode of Fearless Females. I'm always excited when one of my listeners calls or texts or emails or just lets me know that a particular episode, a particular guest touched them, made a difference in their life, gave them something new to think about. And I'm always thrilled when, even if you don't tell me, when that happens for you, when listening to something that one of our guests has said really inspires you or just gives you that, that awesome feeling inside where you're like, I can do anything I try to do. I know that I've had that experience with some of our guests and I learned so much from them. So I'm thankful for each of them for coming on, and I'm thankful for you guys to listen. So today we're talking to Pam, and I really think you'll find her conversation interesting. I think that I took away from her interview just how authentic and open she was with her experience. And so I hope you really enjoy and just appreciate the bravery that it takes to be so transparent, because I think that's a different kind of bravery than just being authentic, to kind of come out with maybe some of your harder moments or your harder choices and be really open about what you experienced. I think that takes real guts, and I'm not sure I'm that brave. So I hope you enjoy listening. Good morning. We're here with Pamela DuBois, who is the head of research at the Global Recruiters Network. And I'm super excited to get to talk to you today, Pam. Thank you so much for taking the time to connect with us and give your story to myself and our listeners. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me.
So the question I always ask very first is one of my favorites, which is, I am a reader. I love all books. What is your favorite book?
Lori, I'm sure everybody says, that's kind of a tough one, or maybe not, but it was kind of a tough one for me, but it has to be The Art of Racing in the Rain. Don't know if you've ever read it or heard of it. They made a movie out of it, and I'm not going to watch the movie because I don't want it to ruin the book. But the book was told from this perspective. It was told from the dog's perspective. There's this dog called Enzo, and he basically goes through life with his owner, a male, and goes through his life with him. And the things that the guy goes through, the dog, it's from his perspective. You go through a relationship, through death, through illness, all these things. And me being a dog lover, it made me look at my dogs differently, and love them even more. But the dog Enzo has this unique perspective about life that humans don't, and how important those relationships are, and how being in people's lives and how you affect their lives, and just how important that is. And it's a book that I cried with, I laughed out loud with. It just touched me in so many different ways. It was one of those hard to put down, and you're laughing one moment, then you're crying and tears are coming down. Just a really cool book.
That's like a great Mother's Day gift. I could have used this about a week ago.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a wonderful book. Recommend it to anybody.
That's great. I'll have to take a look at it. That sounds interesting to hear things from a dog's point of view. I've never read a book that's been written from the dog's point of view. So I find that I
didn't either. Exactly. And it's cool. Yeah, it's neat.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get where you're at today? And kind of what do you do in your day-to-day life? Like what makes you so cool?
Let's see. Well, so I'm the head of research, and basically I am over all of what we do in order and how we do it in order to find the right individuals for our clients. Okay. To kind of sum that up. And we are, just so you know, their Global Recruiters Network, there's like 200 offices, and each office, and that's worldwide, and each office is franchised. So every office works in a different industry, and we happen to be in the wealth management, investment management industry. So that's kind of a little bit of what I do. But it's funny because I started off in my career in staffing, not in executive recruiting. And I actually got fired from a job long time ago. I was setting goals at this company I was at, ones that hadn't been met before, but personally, I was falling apart. So somebody had recommended, talk to my friend. And from there, I went on to more staffing, but then I got into executive recruiting, and I found out I was good at it. I found out that I really liked it, and I found out that, at least I always thought, that people like talking with me. So it just it went from there, and it built and built until I got with, GRN, Global Recruiters Network. And I have to tell you, I haven't experienced anything like this company before. And I'd say the last 5 years, I've been able to have this feeling, Lori, of, oh, my career's, taking off. Mm-hmm. I'm on the closer side to retiring, but I feel like kind of a new person in her career. And that's a really cool, fun feeling to have, because I enjoy so much what I do and who I work with. I get to have that kind of feeling.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's hard, when you first come into whatever business you go into, it feels like you're learning the ropes, you're doing the grunt work, and sometimes it maybe isn't as fulfilling. You know that it's coming, but it maybe isn't as fulfilling. But by the time you get to the place where you love what you do, every day should, in my opinion, and I'm in finance and I think it's fun, but in my opinion, every day should be one of those days like, oh yes, I get to work today. And you're doing
right. Right. Absolutely. I tell people, when, maybe people I haven't seen in a while, and they say, how's work going? And I say, oh, my career's taken off. And they kind of look at me funny, because that's how I feel, and I'm grateful to be able to have that feeling in this stage of life. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that helps keep me young.
Yeah.
So
did you go to school to work in staffing, or like, what was that trajectory like? How did that work?
No, I was a career student. I loved college, and I loved going to college and the classes and the learning. Honestly, I never finished that. And I'd probably still be going today if,
you didn't have to pay for it, right?
Right, exactly. But no, I did not need to. And fortunately, I've been in a situation where getting this degree or that degree, I didn't need that to propel me. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Right.
That's probably less student loans that way too.
Exactly. That's nice. Yes.
So how did you get started in this field though? When you kind of started out, was there did you know this is what you wanted to do, or did it?
No, I had about a 16-year career with JCPenney's, with one of their corporate offices in Florida. And I was in finance back then too. And that ended, and I was just like, what do I want to do? And I happen to start doing Yellow Page advertising. So I mean, I've always been in front of people, that sort of thing. And then somebody just, suggested, hey, why don't you try? I think you'd be good at this. And I did. And it kept going from there. And I've, been doing that for, almost 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I fell into it and grateful I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it can take a lot to find a career that you love. And the difference between something that you love doing and something that you dread going to work, there's a whole difference in your quality of life with those two things.
Absolutely.
So tell me about, what is the best investment you've made in yourself? Can you look back on something and say, oh, I'm so glad I did that because it really made a difference in where I'm at today?
Absolutely, 100%. The best thing I did 24 years ago is I got sober. If I hadn't done that, I couldn't be where I am right now in any respect, It was something, and thankfully I had people around me that said, no more, we're done. Yeah. We love you, but we're done. And decided, yeah, I need to change my life here. And still do, but I had the most support you could possibly imagine from friends and family. And it changed my life. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely the best investment I made in myself. My life is far from perfect today, and I still do plenty of stupid things, and that's okay.
As you know,
yes. But one thing I can't do anymore, though, Lori, is plead ignorance to my life, to the things that I do. Mm-hmm. Most of the situations, almost all the situations I used to get into, and anything that the situations, most of what goes on today is of my own making. We mm-hmm. all have things that we have no control over, but most of it's my own decision making, and when you have to look at yourself and go, okay, you did that. I can't blame anybody else. But the good thing is that, okay, but I get to change it. I can make it different. I can choose not to, but it's all on me. And I can't, I was very good at blaming other people. And if he would or she would, mm-hmm. I can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. It's got to come from me, so that's a strengthening thing. I mean, honestly, it kind of sucks sometimes because it's me, I can't, yeah, but it's a good thing. It gives you that power to do, because you can do it.
You can't blame other people for the situation that you find yourself in. You take that personal responsibility and then learn and grow from it, or fail again. I know that I've made repeated bad decisions and had to learn each and every time. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Is there something that you can point to that you were like, I don't know, I guess just talk to me about that. Is there something that you can say, hey, maybe you were in a good place and you were ready to change. You were ready to get sober. You were ready to follow that. And you just needed friends to help you start down that path. Or was it really, they knew me from where I was to where I was?
Yeah, no, I didn't have anybody left. I mean, I had my family, but I was living in Florida. They were all in different places. So they weren't really seeing what was going on. My best girlfriend, who's still my best friend today, said, I'm done taking care of you. Mm-hmm. Go get your stuff together. And I basically sat there with myself realizing I had nobody.
Mhm.
And, thinking about the things I wanted in life, but I sure wasn't going to get them this way, you know? So it was really the thing of, and I had been in a relationship prior, like a month prior to that, it ended because of stupid things I did, you know? So it was kind of a culmination of people going, we're done.
Mhm.
And I was really just left with myself. And one night I called my sister and said, I can't stop drinking. And she said, okay. And, it went from there. And basically she said too, you got to do this on your own.
Yeah.
I can't do this for you. And there it started. So it took me reaching a bad place, and it took other people who loved me saying, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
Which is the best thing anybody could have ever done for me. And all of us have that ability to be, enable people when we probably shouldn't. We love them. We want to, it's a lot harder to go, you got to take care of this, and that's what people who love me did. And I'm so grateful for the people that did that. I mean, people kept carrying me. Why do you change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a really powerful point too, that the courage to stand up and say, hey, you can't do this anymore. We love you and we can't let you, we can't be a party to this anymore. That's
right. Right. My best friend tells me still today, when, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, was walk away from you. So I was given those strong people in my life to do that, to help me, Well,
what a powerful story. That's really amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
What is the worst advice someone ever gave you? And did you take that advice or did you not take it? What did you learn from it?
I came at that from a more general perspective, Lori. The worst advice was, don't do that.
Okay.
I am very much someone who I can, yes, I regret things that I have done. But I can actively and do my darndest to make up for that, try and make those things right. The things that I have, in the end, the things that I haven't done, I can't do anything about because I haven't done them.
Mm-hmm.
Good or bad, don't do that. I've got to learn. My mom taught me that a long time ago when I wanted to go, I don't know, I was 17, 18. And I wanted to do this thing. And my mom knew that she's really not good at that. But she wasn't going to tell me no. She was like, okay. And of course, I failed at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a card from her. And she said, I'll never stop you from doing something that you want to try and do.
Mm-hmm.
She said, just make sure you learn from whatever happens, good or bad.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that. There was a lot of stupid decisions I made, but if I learn from them and I can grow from that, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm personally, I don't learn from everything going well. I don't know if many of us do. So those, okay, don't do that. It was like, okay, I'm going to do that. It almost became, if you say don't do it, I'm going to go do it, like a rebellious child. And some things turned out great. And some things, wow, you're served some humble pie.
Mm-hmm.
But I go, okay, I get it. So that I would have to say that in a general way.
Be able to have those experiences that you can learn from, and maybe not regret. The regrets are that things went poorly, and at least you had the learning out of it, but not regretting not trying in the first place. You never have to look back and say, I didn't try, I was too scared.
Right.
You did it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't want those. So yeah. Yeah.
Sounds fearless to me. Fearless female, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So what about regrets? Is there a situation you can look back, like in your career, that you now, knowing what you know now, if you could go back and do it again, you would do it differently, and maybe have learned some lessons from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a boss a long time ago that had said, one thing about you, Pam, is you're always, true to yourself, who you are. You don't, try and act like somebody else in front of different people. But he also suggested, that being said, you might want to, learn to temper some things as you go along. And that has usually been my voice. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but I a lot of times I don't have a filter, and things come out that I think are okay, or that I think is funny, or that I think need to be said. And that's not always the case. So I have had to learn over the years to don't say that. Just don't say it. I'm still true to myself, but, I think before I speak. And it's like, I've always had this, you need to know that I know that you're not intelligent. And no, they don't need to know that. And I hope that doesn't come off poorly. But yeah, it's just, that filter that just don't say it. And it's okay. Not everybody needs to know your thoughts, your opinions, your what have you. So I wish I would have paid more attention to that advice. I may have gotten further quicker than I did. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely a regret.
So I am sometimes, I don't know, blunt is maybe not the right word, but like I kind of say what I mean, because a lot of times that's the way I am. So I've had to kind of temper or smooth out those rough edges over the years. How did you learn to take that advice? Like, what tools did you use to smooth over those rough edges, and could you still be authentic while you were doing it?
I'm sure. Something that I do today when I have, and that's most every day, but when I have to get thoughts, feelings, what have you out, I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of journaling at night. So the things that I need to get out and want to get out, I get out on paper, and that helps me. Mm-hmm. And also, when I do get that out on paper and I look at it and I read it, sometimes I can look at it and go, it's a good thing you don't voice that. Or, there's something in there that makes me look and go, well, that's kind of my part. I just, honestly, it was just from trial and error, from saying things that shouldn't have been said, and somebody calls you out on it, or bosses takes you into the office and talks to you about something. And I found a way to, my actions could be my authenticity. It didn't have to, I didn't have to verbalize everything. And it made me more, okay, show them. Don't talk about it, show them, which is, we always talk about, don't listen to what's said, watch a person's actions. So that's helped. And it because those thoughts are still there, those things that you want to say, but you get those out. But okay, let's do the actions and show this or that person that you can absolutely do this or that, or what your suggestions are may be right. They may be wrong, and that's okay too. But do it by an action, not necessarily by just spouting what you think needs to be heard.
I sometimes wish I could go back to my younger self and teach myself some of those lessons too.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. But then I go, would I've listened?
Yeah, it's a toss-up. So,
right.
Pam, what if you could go back and talk to your younger self, speaking of which, someone just on the cusp of starting out your journey, your professional journey, what would you tell that 20-year-old you?
Listen to that voice inside. I firmly believe that voice, and we all know what voice we're talking about, not the one that you need that purse, that voice that says, okay, don't do that or do that. That gut instinct, I've learned over the years that that's the truth inside, and listen to that and follow that. I mean, I don't know how many times over my life it's telling you inside to do one thing, I do the opposite, and why did I do that? Whether it's we don't want to go for a promotion, we don't want to ask for a raise, we don't want to move to a different state for a job, whatever it is. We do the pros and cons till we're blue in the face. We ask everybody, and we wait till we get the answer that we want from the right, the 50th person that we ask. All along, the gut's telling you what to do, and we're not paying attention to it. I just think we could save ourselves a lot of heartache and unnecessary mental anguish if we just kind of learn to listen to that inner voice that we have.
Sometimes that is so hard. Like I know that inner voice will be saying, like you said, ask for the raise or something like that. And it's scary. Those are scary things. How do you, there's times when I've been like, okay, I give myself a really good stern talking to. This is important. You got to do this. This is the right thing, and gear yourself up and you go do it. How do you listen and implement those things that voice is telling you? Do you have ways that you've come to, especially when it's saying hard, scary things?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm the first to say that, still today, I don't always listen to it. No, that can't be it, and then you get hit in the head and dang it. But for me, sometimes it's as, I don't want to say simple because, well, yeah, simple, not easy, but simple, just to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, go. And then like you're moving to do whatever it is that you got. And it's like, okay, you can't stop now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's 1, 2, 3, go, get up and go in your boss's office, and you're there and you're standing in front of them. Well, you're not going to back out now. Sometimes, like I said, it's that simple, not easy, I just have to do it like that,
Mm-hmm.
Because the more I think about it and plan it, and I'm real good at planning things out, but they don't take place. Right. And so it's just a 1, 2, 3, go, and physically move, whatever it is that I'm going to do. And just do that and go. And
I like that. It's like the just do it slogan, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's all it. But if you really think about it, Lori, that's, somebody said to me one time, I asked them, well, how'd you quit smoking? And they said, I just stopped smoking. And first it kind of annoyed me, but then I got it. You just stopped, Mm-hmm. Again, very simple, not easy, but, I think I can overcomplicate things like that. But yeah, that hit me when the person said it to me. I just didn't smoke anymore.
That's good. And it's simple. We'll just do it, but hard. So what scared you the most when you first started out on your career journey? Pam, does it still scare you, or did you find a way to overcome that?
I thought about that one, and I, I, I don't know that I really had anything that scared me so much. I think it was more of not even of, can I do this? I think it was more of, okay, well, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a bad habit of projecting into the future. If this doesn't work out, what's next? So, like always having that plan B, but not having that actual plan B. So, and I'm not saying that I was never scared, because that's far from the truth. But I can't say that there was one thing in general, or one specific thing that, scared me about that, except that, okay, what's next? And like in the beginning, I almost was planning, what if I don't like this? What's next? So that's kind of where I was with that.
The unknown, what might be coming at you.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about any unique challenges because you were a woman? Did you run into anything where it was specifically because of your gender and there were some challenges involved in that?
I have to honestly say, not really. There was a brief, and I don't want to say that sort of thing doesn't exist. I'd be, silly to say that. But the only time that I think I had any kind of challenge was when I was still working staffing. Mm-hmm. And we worked in the manufacturing and construction industry. And that kind of came with its own challenges there. And not necessarily, and I don't mean of not being taken seriously, but how you looked could a lot of times determine if you got in the door or got to talk to the right individual. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can think of maybe 3 times that it put me in an uncomfortable position, but nothing that I would have said, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. So that was, for the most part, that was it. I don't think I really, because a lot of the work that I've done over the years, it wasn't necessarily male dominated or mm-hmm. female dominated. It was a good mixture of both. I mean, when you're talking sales, we'll say sales in general, it goes both genders. So thankfully, I didn't experience a lot of that. So I'm lucky for that.
Yeah, there are some, situations or careers and I found that occasionally it is up to a mentor. Like you find a good mentor and it smooths out some of those. And let's face it, the working world has become easier for women over the last 40, 50, 60 years. I think that if we ask that question to some of our mothers and grandmothers, we might get a much different answer.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. When you see some of those, shows that, are in a different era, and I just think, oh my God, how did you were treated like second class, and you just can't imagine that today. Yeah.
Pam, what is the thing you are most proud of?
Overall, I'd have to, I would absolutely first and foremost have to say getting sober. Career-wise, I've had the last 12 years since I've been with Global Recruiters. The thing that I take pride in is that I have a lot of people that I talk to or have had over the years tell me that I've never spoken to a recruiter like yourself. The time that you take with people, the tools that you have given me, how caring you are, you make me feel like how important I am to you. That's what makes me feel good. I'm not one of those oh, I just love to help people. I'm not, I do, but I'm not, I'm not one of those, oh, I just want to help people. No. But to have those interactions with other people and both of you come walking away just feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's better than that? You have this interaction, you feel good, the other person feels good. The people then that I, talk to or encounter the rest of the day, they're probably pretty decent interactions. That person is probably having decent interactions, and everybody just kind of, it flows.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like that thought of, if I had anything to do with maybe that person having a good day and then being extra sweet to his wife or her husband or whatever, well, that's a good, because I want people to laugh and to have fun and just enjoy. I mean, that's what the heck are we here for? So if I can, be a little bit a part of that, that's great. So that's what gives me pride. And that knowing that, okay, I'm good at this and I can do this. That's what I take pride in.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I'm more analytical and spreadsheet oriented, and I always admire those that are more people oriented, because it's a skill set that I have to really work at and it makes me happy to see good people putting good things into this world. So I love that. I love that that's your proud moment. That makes me happy too.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate that. And the funny thing is because, yes, I'm in the investment management industry, but numbers, spreadsheets, all that, it's like, ugh. And what I love is meeting somebody like yourself who does all that and has this great personality, and you're doing something that's a bit contrary to a typical finance person. Which is so great, so you do have that other side to you, and that's awesome. I love seeing that too. So that's a good pairing there.
Well, thank you. It's just harder for me to work on emotions rather than numbers. And I love that that is just your proud thing. It makes me happy to see people giving that good into the world, no matter where they are, so.
Right.
Any advice for a young lady who's starting her way down the path that you're already so far along and so successful at, to help her be successful like you? What would you tell someone starting that path?
We've heard probably from the day you were a little kid, that old, find what makes you happy and then go do that. And it's never a job, then whatever you're doing is never a job and what have you. And, some of us can do that. Some of us can't. But it's like, I would tell, somebody starting off, put in the work now. Put in the work now. Do what you need to do. If there's something that you really love and you really want to do, put in the work to get there now. I didn't have the capacity, when I was 20 to look at when I was 40. That was old, to me, right? And, it's going to be forever when I get there. But if they could only see that, okay, when you're 40, you're going to appreciate, I want to say how much easier, but the foundation that you've laid now, while you have the energy and the chutzpah for all of that, how happy you're going to be later in your life, that don't have to try as hard. And I think you know what I mean by that. Yeah. Setting ourselves up so when maybe we don't want to try as hard, or we don't have all that energy, that that's okay, because all along we've been doing the things to get us there. I always thought that, man, I wish if my 20s and 30s that I would have just worked and saved everything, retired from like 40 to 70 and had, all this fun. And then at 70, go work a part-time job to whatever, but enjoy the retirement when I can actually enjoy it. But yeah, because, that's something I really didn't do. I didn't look, that 40 was so far off to me, or 50 or whatever it was. And I didn't plan as well. Now, even though I'm saying I'm having a great time with my career and it's so much fun, but what if I could have been, whatever, sitting in Florida, working a part-time job, been financially great and just enjoying that stuff, had I planned better. But that's what I would say. Take a look at it. Do as much as you can now, so you can really enjoy things a little bit later, when it's a little harder to do all those things, and it's hard for anybody to look that far down the road, certainly when you're 20. I've known people that, younger ones, than me, that's kind of what they did. Mm-hmm. And, they've set themselves up for very early retirement. They're financially stable. They've had a great life. But, they really planned well and did a lot of the work in the beginning.
I like that. I like that idea. Our motto here is investing in you. And that's what it sounds like you're talking about, is like investing in yourself early on so that you set that good foundation, so that you have more options and more choices when you get further down that path.
Absolutely. Instead of I have to work until whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I've got 5 kids, and all of them, my youngest graduates on Thursday. So all of them are baby adults or adults.
Right. Right.
So I do tend to push that message with them, is like, get the credentials, take the tests, do the work. You're never going to have more energy than you do right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, kudos to you. And you're that sounds like you're going to be an empty nester.
Well, it's Colorado, so they can't all move out quite yet. But yeah, I'm working on it. So, and then I'll tell you what the other half looks like, because I'm going to have to fill up my days with something.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, wow. Well, congratulations to you. I mean, gosh, getting everyone graduated, that's a feat in its own.
It's an accomplishment for sure. So well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and just sharing your journey and the things you've learned. I've really grown, and I appreciate you being so open with us and vulnerable and sharing the things that you've been through. That really meant a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you're welcome. And thank you for asking me. And it was nice to share a lot of that stuff. And
so if I have a young lady who's interested in learning more about you or asking questions, is there somewhere she can find you?
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so absolutely message me. And, I love to talk to women like that and share anything, help any way, that I can. Does me good too. So absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You too, Lori. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.